hot, smoldering topics on a weekly basis. Your participation.
Good morning and welcome to yet another edition of the Burning Issue here on the Happy World of 5 FM radio. It is the Thursday edition, and we are grateful that you could find time to tune in. Remember, we are live not only on 89.9 here in Lusaka and the surrounding areas, but we are also live on our partner radio stations, and we have tuning in and carrying this program live is Spice FM in Kabwe, covering the rest of Central Province on 91.1 FM. Also live on ZFM in Kapiri on 100.3 FM. And also going north, we are live on Muchinga Radio, that is in Chinsali, and covering the rest of Muchinga province on 88.1. We are also live in Mansa, and it is on Tuta FM on 90.7 FM, covering the rest of Luapula province. On the Copper Belt, we are well covered. Remember that we are also live on Platinum Radio, that is on 99.7 in Ndola, covering the rest of the Copper Belt, and also live on IOF FM in Chingola on 90.1 FM, covering the rest of the Copper Belt. Later on in the course of the program, I'll give you, our listener, an opportunity to call in and interact with us and our guest here on the Burning Issue. But also don't forget the fact that we are live also on our Facebook page, and that's 5FM Radio Zambia. You can leave us a comment or indeed a question, and we'll be glad to read it out. It will be centered more on the Constitution Amendment Bill 7, all right? And so almost everything that we'll discuss will be around that particular topic, all right? That's the Constitution Amendment Bill 7 of 2025, which obviously has sparked a lot of debate, and we would like to use this opportunity to debate it even further. And we encourage you to come on board and have a conversation with us around this. My guest, therefore, to help us discuss this is Mr. Oliver Shalala. He is the United Party for National Development Consultant. Always a pleasure to have you. Welcome to the Burning Issue.
Thanks, Zach, and thanks to the production team here at 5FM. Always a pleasure to be back here. One of my favorite radio stations, as it were.
Thank you.
Over the years.
Yeah. And how is the UPND doing?
We are doing well. We are in Lumezi right now.
Oh, yeah?
We are also campaigning in other wards where the by-election in Lumezi didn't start on the best notes. I think there was some violence there that involved both the opposition and some of our members, but I think leadership over it. It's peaceful now. We hope for the best.
Right. Now, what I would do this morning, I would want us to start interrogating the Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 of 2025 by reading out a statement that was issued by the Law Association of Zambia, seeking that the Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 of 2025 must be withdrawn by government, as it is devoid of stakeholders' involvement and participation as required tenets of the constitutionalism. Now, this is what the statement by the Law Association of Zambia reads. The Law Association of Zambia, LAZ, has carefully reviewed the provision of the Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 of 2025, which was published in the Government Gazette on the 23rd of May, 2025, wherein the government indicates its settled intention to introduce it on the floor of the National Assembly to reform the country's constitutional order. Law Association of Zambia notes with concern that the indicated proposed constitutional amendments process excluded stakeholders and citizens from involvement. In fact, the proposed bill appears to have been published in the Government Gazette merely for citizens' general information, in quotes, without any established pathway for the meaningful participation prior to its submission to the National Assembly. We note further that government has not disclosed any information on the process adopted in coming up with the content of the bill and changes hereto, nor is there information on which stakeholders made recommendations on the proposed content of the bill. It is LAZ's position that the Constitution is a people's document, and their involvement in its formulation is not subject to any exceptions. The preamble to the Constitution is explicit about this fundamental principle and is Article 79 of the Constitution, which provides for procedure for making amendments to the Constitution, must never be used to sideline the owners of the Constitution, in this case, the citizens, from meaningful participation in its reform. So government and the party in power at any particular time exercising delegated powers which is reposed in the people have an obligation, therefore, to create a legal which assures citizens meaningful participation in the land and protect the content. It is, therefore, LAZ's position that the Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 of 2025 lacks the much-needed broad-based stakeholder engagement and consensus to birth a legitimate and acceptable constitution reform. Unfortunately, due to its failure to benefit from the collective wisdom, the broad-based stakeholder consensus assures some of the proposed have the potential to erode the democratic tenets on which our country is anchored. We wish to draw the attention of the nation to the following, and these are the Section 8 of the bill proposes to amend Article 72(8) of the Constitution to enable vacancies in the office of Member of Parliament, MP, to be filled by political parties from which the MP was elected. This is dangerous, especially with weak intra-party democracy within political parties. It not only deprives citizens of the right to choose leaders of their choice to represent them in Parliament, but can also result in abuse where democratically leaders of the people in National Assembly are wholesomely replaced. Okay, they are wholesomely replaced clandestinely and without without elections by timid and abiding members of their parties. This will result in the erosion of the accountability function reposed in the National Assembly, undermining checks and balances to the prejudice of citizens. This is one of the issues that has been noted and raised, and concerns have been raised. Secondly, further to the proposed amendment aimed to increasing the participation of women, youths, and persons with disabilities are wholly inadequate and do not benefit from the views of these stakeholders, whom they are purportedly intended to save. Thirdly, we also note that the proposed provisions increasing the number of elected members of Parliament from the current number to 211 are based on the Electoral Reforms Technical Committee report, which remains shrouded in secrecy, despite having been a product of public process. We do not believe citizens can debate the increase of constituencies while the location of the proposed constituencies is treated as a state secret. It is equally hard to understand why government would want to prioritize and rush to expand the rush to expend the country's meager resources on an expanded National Assembly instead of prioritizing mechanisms for actualizing the decentralization policy for resources to trickle down to the grassroots, especially that there is no empirical evidence that smaller constituencies are currently better off than bigger ones, nor that the presence of more MPs in the panacea for the much needed economic development of the country. Last, therefore, calls on government to listen to the voice of the church, traditional authorities, civil society, among other stakeholders, and withdraw the proposed constitutional amendment, Bill number 7 of 2025. All constitutional reforms must be based on genuine, broad-based stakeholder engagement and consensus on both the substance and process to assure the legitimacy of its outcome. Meanwhile, the Law Association of Zambia, LAS, will be convening a public forum to give members and the general citizenry a platform to air their views on the current proposed constitutional reform process. Therefore, this has been signed by Lungisani Zulu, the president of the Law Association of Zambia. Have you seen this statement?
Yes, I've seen the statement. I've heard it on news, and it's something that is surprising.
Why do you say it's surprising?
It's signed by Lungisani, who's the president of
the Law Association of Zambia. Yes,
and I think he speaks for Laz because he has the power to speak for Laz as president and as a leader of the council of Laz. But the general principle behind that statement is simply that, according to him and his team, is that government did not consult, but they proceeded to issue a bill. That's according to him. Now, similarly, it's very clear, and it's very clear that LAS itself did not consult their members to issue that statement. So I don't see what more authority.
What makes you think? What makes you think
this was? It's a fact. Even members are speaking as of this morning. Even that same statement in the last paragraph, it says LAS will very soon convene a public forum where its members will be asked to submit to the constitutional amendments, meaning that even he himself admits in his statement that he has not consulted his members. So LAS has not even consulted their members. They've come up with a statement. Then in that statement, all they talk about is consultation by government. So on the moral point of view, LAS falls flat because they should have demonstrated that first and foremost, they themselves, for them to issue a statement, they are doing consultation. Now, when it comes to government has consulted. Firstly, the mistake people are making is that the form of consultation which they are used to, which is when you follow Chapter 41 of our Constitution of Zambia, Inquiries Act, given a mandate to do inquiries based on it was done in 1967. Inquiries Act number 41 of 1967.
Right.
In that one, before 1967, the Constitution of Zambia could not be amended without a referendum. So even just a simple amendment, like we want to change even a comma in the Constitution, we had to have a referendum, the whole country. So Kaunda took advantage of that to remove the referendum in the Constitution so that the referendum can land agreement. He wanted to ensure that it's difficult wanted to make it a bit easier to change the Constitution so that they could remove the provisions for the Barosland Agreement at the time. So it was going to be harder for Kaunda to change the Constitution on the Barosland part. But by virtue of the politics of that time, it changed the Constitution to a point whereby now the Constitution is a bit easier. All you have to do is leave it to the Parliament and the 2/3 majority, which is a bit hard to get in terms of numbers. So from 50%, which is a general principle for most of the acts, for the Constitution is different, it's 2/3 majority of all eligible MPs, including the Speaker and others. Now, with that amendment, in 1967, which brought about the Inquiries Act of 41, Inquiries Act Chapter 41, it means the president can inquire on anything that is not sure. If, for example, if someone has died with the suspicion, he can use the Inquiries Act to institute a commission of inquiry to find out what. For example, when Bodwin Kumbula died, there was a commission of inquiry that was set up. When Vice President Mwanawasa was almost killed by a car accident, a commission of inquiry was instituted using Chapter 41 of 1967. So Chapter 41 of 1967 is the one that is now used to inquire from the public what their position is on various issues when you want to amend the constitution. This was done in 1972, when Mainza Chona was tasked to come up with a Chona Commission, which looked into the constitution, and eventually we moved from multi-party democracy to one-party state in 1972. The same was done in 1991 when the Vunga Commission was constituted. We had other commissions later on. William Ngomba should have been 96. And later on, we had the CRC and even the NCC. All those are forms of consultation.
Right.
Now, but there's no prescribed way of doing consultation. Let's make it clear. There's nowhere in the Constitution where it is defined how it will be done. So anyone can come up with the form that they feel is the best. No wonder, if you noticed, what Mwanawasa did was different from what Shiruba did. Shiruba did a commission of inquiry. Kaunda also did a commission of inquiry. When Mwanawasa came, he did what he called the NCC. It was different. It was more of a conference. And I think when Sata came, he didn't do a conference, he did a committee of eminent persons. I think it was about 8 people or something in those lines. Now, with the UPND, there's a bit of difference in the sense that, one, we didn't have the luxury that our other governments had. People keep talking about this timing. I'm sure that question will come later in the show.
Yeah.
About timing. We didn't have the luxury of doing a commission of inquiry because of timing. First and foremost, this constitutional reform had to go with delimitation. The 2020, the PF government did not do it because at the time they were defaulting on law census. We had to do it in 2022 after we took over as government. So it meant that for us, we had to wait for census to be done, all the figures collected. That's when you are able to do delimitation. That's when now we are able to do this draft bill, which we've done. So when people talk about timing and everything, it's a process. We couldn't just do, because some people say, why didn't you do this in 2022? Why didn't you do this in 2021? We were waiting for the census to be done, figures to be collected, everything compiled. Then for us, we are able to do now a draft bill, which is what we've done. So we didn't have the time after we've done all these things. We didn't have the time now to do a commission of inquiry, go through the country and everything. So we decided, one, let's go with non-contentious issues this time around, so that we're able to amend the constitution, because some of the issues are needed ahead of the elections.
Who determined what was contentious and what was not?
The people of Zambia, because all you do is just look at all the reports from 1972 to now. The patterns are very clear. In every constitutional amendment process, it was submitted that there has to be proportional representation, which allows for women and youth representatives in the parliament. But the various governments have always refused to add this. So we are the first.
It's probably not even the various governments. It could be the people themselves, no. The owners of the constitution.
The people in the commissions of inquiry have all submitted that. If you check the William Ngombako commission report, check the Vunga commission, check the Shona commission and all these other commissions that were there, that one is there. You find everyone has said, let's have youth and women in parliament and the disabled in some of the reports. That is consistent. But where the problem has been is that after, remember that at the end of the day, no matter how you do the consultation, the process of amending the constitution is very clear in Article 79 of the Constitution of Zambia. And the one who's mandated to come up with a draft bill is the executive arm of government. It's not NGOs, it's not Catholics, it's not SDAs, it's not Linda Kasondes of this world, it's not Musa Mwenyes of this world. It is the executive arm of government that comes up with a draft bill. That draft bill is then passed to Parliament, which is the legislature, the other arm of government, which now debates and eventually enacts the law. So we cannot have a constitution which is beginning elsewhere. Yes, there's the argument of saying, let's have commissions of inquiry, let's have consultation. At the end of the day, even if you do all these broad consultations, the report you come up with, it still has to be submitted to executive to come up with a draft bill. The draft bill is always done by the Minister of Justice with the advice from Attorney General, and it goes to Parliament. So there will never be a time when a constitution in Zambia is done by the people, the so-called people, and then it goes to Parliament and you skip executive. It will never happen. So what used to happen in these past years is that you have all these commission of inquiries, you go around the country, you come up with reports. When it's time to do the draft bill, government comes up with a white paper, they drop off some of the key things, they just approve some, and it goes to Parliament, some things have been left out. So what we've done as the UPND is we simply had to go back to all these reports where consultation was done, 1972, 1991, 1996, 2016, 2021, and so many of them. And then we were able to collect and compile what we felt non-contentious issues, because these are the ones that were broadly accepted. Now, the taste of the pudding is in the eating, or maybe to put it in Zambian context is the sweetness of the nshima can only be told in the actual eating. When you look at the nshima, it will look appetizing, but you find you put in the mouth is different. So if assuming what I'm saying doesn't make sense, to say that these issues are non-contentious, assuming what I'm saying is not correct, would have heard across the country are not happy with this particular provision or everything in the draft bill which we've presented as the UPND government. But the truth of the matter is that even large complain about the content. Everybody else does not complain about the content. They are all complaining about the process. They're complaining about the process. Content Laz only touched on 3 issues in that submission. Out of 13 submissions in the bill, they only touched on 3. Also, not 3 in their entirety, but just peripheral. For example, I'll give an example where they say youth and women representation and disabled are not adequate. They are not saying it shouldn't be there. They are just saying are not adequate, meaning numbers. Now, that can be cured with time, because if they're saying it's about numbers, then okay, we could go with the number we have. In future, we could increase. So they are not even against, but they're just saying it's inadequate. So if you look at the submissions Laz has made, so it means that out of the 13 provisions, they've only attacked 3. One of them they're saying is not adequate, meaning it's okay, but if the numbers were increased, it's okay, meaning we could even add it to the 10 they haven't touched. So we could only say out of the 13, they are only not happy with 2. Now, by university grading, that is simply a B plus or an A. So if we were to use the critique of Laz is simply saying on content, the UPND has got a B plus or an A for the bill that is going to Parliament. Now, I can assure you, you can bring 100 people in this seat, none of them is going to really attack the content. The content is the process people are not happy with. But again, I think it's lack of genuineness. The UPND has been very clear. We've not had a normal process, in inverted commas, normal, which people are used to, commission of inquiries and everything. Because of one, timing, we had to wait for the census and everything, and there isn't enough time between now and the election. Secondly, because we had a rich depository of reports that we can rely on, that people have been, people have been submitting to, which we can use at the moment. There's no need for us to go ahead and redo or invent the wheel when we can easily go back to that repository. So the consultation has been there, and even in the process that we've given, there's still room for consultation. Right now, people are still able to compile and then submit at parliamentary committee level. Now, you remember that Laz in the butane process did not submit to Parliament. They decided not to submit. Even now, I'm sure they might say they don't want to submit. They want to be treated differently. Maybe they want to submit. I don't know how they want to do it. But if you look at history, institutions like LAS, NGOs and everything, what they want the most from this process is allowances. They want these committees where they can go around the country, draw allowances and everything. The country just doesn't have the luxury. And secondly, LAS is a club, it's an association. It's not the only club of professionals. We have engineers, we have doctors, we have so many. They are not the preserve of knowledge on constitutionalism. Yes, they can know the jurisprudence, they can know the technicalities of the law, but in terms of content, it's is for everyone.
Why are you making them look like they are irrelevant now? Because as a party, when you were in opposition, you mostly wanted them to add a voice to anything that you wanted them to add a voice to. Meaning they have always been a critical club, as you are calling it. They have always been a critical club. But other than that, let's talk about the fact that you brought out the process issues. And I think that there are a number of stakeholders who are raising concerns and making comparisons to this, which they are calling a bulldozed. They are making comparisons to Bill 10, which they are saying at least even Bill 10 had sort of National Dialogue Forum as a process coming up with a bill.
The process for Bill 10 was very good. Why didn't it pass? It didn't pass.
Because it didn't pass. Also because UPND did actually get in an agreement with its own members of parliament not to vote for it.
Exactly.
Why? Yeah. Because the Republican president now, then in opposition, he categorically said there was no need to amend the constitution because the constitution is okay.
No, it wasn't.
No, that was his position. The constitution was okay. There was no need to amend it. And that is the reason why his members of parliament did not vote for it. So the question now is, if the constitution, according to him at the time in opposition, was okay, why is he amending it now? No. And it wasn't even part of his promises, people are saying.
We still have an hour and 30 minutes before the end of the show, roughly. And I will give you a chance to quote where the UPND president then said that the constitution was okay. He never said the constitution was okay. I'll give you 1 hour 30 minutes to find that quote so that you.
What did he say? If he didn't say the constitution,
I'm just.
But he said it needed no amendment.
No. He didn't say it didn't need an amendment. What he said was that the constitution then was better than what it would have been if the amendments were made. It was going to be a waste document, and the reasons are simple. Firstly, the Bill 10 was proposing the removal of 50% plus one vote in the constitution, meaning we were no longer going to have a situation where a president wins by 50% plus one. What the PF was proposing was that you are going to have what was called the coalition government. The number one gets 40%, number two gets 30, the other one next gets 20. What 20, what 30, now 40. But the 20 and the 40, sorry, the 30 and the 20 are not number ones, but they collude together, then they go to 50% plus one, and then they win the election, leaving the highest winner. Okay? And they were even proposing a situation where a presidential presidential candidate can transfer his votes to another one, whereby you say, okay, we have lost Woy, but me, you are my friend. Here are my votes. People did not vote for you, but you get your votes through collusion. So that was going to damage the constitution. There was also the issue of changing of composition of parliament, where going to be, a number of votes. But the difference was that with this, there were going to be additional. Right. The difference with this proposal under Bill 7 of 2025 is that we have prescribed numbers and definite numbers. The Bill 10, there was no fixed maximum number. It was going to be open to interpret. We could even have had 500 members of parliament. So there are differences. There was the issue of dissolving the Financial Intelligence Center to become part of the department of the DEC, as opposed to the way it is now, where it is independent, is following up politicians who are laundering money and everything, or illegal transactions, flagging those. Under the Bill 10, it was going to be removed. We were no longer going to have the FIC. Then also Bill 10 was proposing unlimited number of constitutional court judges. So instead of a fixed number, it means the president was at liberty to keep appointing. If he sees he's got a case and it looks like he's losing, as long as an even number, an odd number, he could keep adding. It would even have gone 21, 31 constitutional court judges. That was dangerous for our democracy because it was giving too much power to the president. We had issues of creation of provinces and districts. You remember the first act that President Michael Sata made when he came into power in 2011 was to create districts and provinces like Muchinga, and then name I think the first thing he did really was, I'm not sure which one was the first, between appointing George Sheller as his spokesperson and also on naming the airports. But next thing was creating Muchingan districts. He had that power, which was removed in the amendment of 2016, which is the 1991 Constitution as amended in 2016. Now, that was going to come back in Bill 10, meaning that the president could create. There are so many other things. The mayors could have been abolished in terms of election. It was no longer an issue of people electing a mayor. For us, all we are doing is 10. It was going to remove the election of a mayor. It was going to be like the parties now appoint. There was also removing the monetary policy under Bank of Zambia and taking it elsewhere, and even reintroduction of deputy ministers was going to come back. I can go on and so on. There are so many issues that were in Bill 10. Let me finish. Yeah. So there were so many issues that were in Bill 10. UPND was not happy with. No wonder they went for avoiding the enactment of the constitutional amendments. Now, you will notice that all those provisions I've mentioned, 11 of them, are not there in Bill 7. So there's a difference between those two.
Let me give you some of, well, because you challenged me to find some of the statements that the president, while in opposition, concerning Bill 10.
Yes.
On the 18th of July, 2020, he posted and says, supporting Bill 10 because of one or two so-called progressive clauses is like drinking poison because it has sugar, right? Mm-hmm. I'll take you to the other one. On the 2nd of November, 2020, he posted on his Facebook page, if it were truly the PF's intention to promote inclusion of youth, women, among others, through Bill 10, they would have done it already. None of their nominated members of parliament are youths and differently abled, plus only 3 out of 8 are women. Try another story. HH, aka Body. All right. This is in Bill 7, right?
Yes. Now, have you?
Can I now give you the voice?
I think you are diverting. Wait.
No. I'm basically asking.
Before you run away,
yeah.
I challenged you to quote where the president said the constitution that was there before Bill 10 was a good constitution. You are reading something else.
No,
that's not what we discussed. Listen, you are diverting.
I'm saying, is this what I've just read in Bill? No, let me hear in Bill 7. Yes, it is.
Yes, now
he opposed it.
That should have been a question.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. What has changed?
No,
because he opposed this, because this was also in Bill 10.
Listen, Zach, we have time. So what we should have done, we should have exhausted where we were, and then you that as a question. Because I challenged you to come up with what you claimed the president said was that you claimed the president said the constitution that was there was a good constitution.
It needed no amendment.
He never said. He never said that.
Let me play that.
He never
let me play that interview.
What he said was those amendments proposed were bad. You are actually confirming what I've said,
right?
Which is where he said amending it and including one sweet thing when there's poison is bad. So you are agreeing with what I'm saying.
So let me play this, and this was an interview that was obviously held by Diamond TV, and I'll give credit to it because that's where I'm picking it from.
Yes.
And we'll play that interview from the beginning, and let's hear what the question was.
And replace it with what? That was the argument of the Justice Minister. One of the clauses in Article 52, and I'll read it, Article 52.4 allows the challenging at either councillor level, member of parliament and presidential, which obviously now remains. This has remained.
You've got to the point I wanted you to get to.
This has remained.
Yes. So it's supposed to be.
And I'm saying for the PF, they said that was a bad thing.
Why?
Okay.
That's the question I'm asking.
So
I wanted to replace it with what?
Yeah, so they said they wanted to repeal completely Article 52 because of Article 52 Clause 6, which again allows the ECZ, which is the commission, the Electoral Commission, to cancel elections when one candidate is disqualified, resigns, dies, or withdraws. So my question now for you is, assuming then that with what we are seeing in our politics today, they are fake candidates or surrogate politics, how do we see an election taking place with this Article 52? So just to simplify my question in this, Justice Minister, his argument was that as much as HH and his MPs have celebrated the death of Bill 10, it will come to haunt you, because we wanted to completely scrap out the entire Article 52. What they wanted it out, the entire Article 52. So the minister now says, look at 52.6. How does it work for you?
What is 52.6?
So about the Electoral Commission cancelling an election for 30 days when a candidate is disqualified, resigns, dies, or is found by a court wanting for malpractice and so on. This is the argument.
So what is wrong with that? That article protects citizens from having a president who is an imposter, who does not qualify. That if the election is postponed for 30 days to remove an imposter from the ballot paper, perfect.
Don't you see this article being abused rather, with what I gave an example of, if people front a surrogate, presidential candidate who decide to pull out 2 days before, 7 days before, inconveniencing everybody?
30 days is fine for me. Because if 30 days are a price we have to pay in order for the people of Zambia to get a leadership that will restore this economy, a leadership that will end violence, a leadership that will end corruption like UPND, a leadership that will bring credibility and restore the kwacha so that the dollar does not result in the increment of basic salt, sugar, cooking oil every day, and people sleep without food. 30 days is a good price to pay.
Are you seeing the PF? Are you seeing the PF trying to use this article? Allow me to ask this question for the sake of time. Are you seeing your political opponents in the PF trying to use this article against you to disqualify you for things, for example, taking you to the police over your purchase of a farm?
It can never work when the judiciary works for the people, because the judiciary is the last recourse.
I think that's where the interview ends. It's Article 52.
Yes.
It was in Bill 10.
Yes.
It is in Bill 7.
Yes. No, Article 52 in the Constitution, the amendments that were proposed in Bill 10 and the ones made in Bill 7 are slightly different, but they are in the same principle. They're slightly different. For us, Article 52...
If it was perfect, as he put it, it shouldn't even have come in Bill 10.
No, he was talking
in
about...
Bill 7.
He was talking about the clause for position someone is disqualified.
Resigns, dies, even dies.
Yes. So that's the clause he was talking about, not the whole 57.
But he called it perfect.
The particular...
No, the entire article.
No.
He said it was perfect.
No, Costa once at the beginning of that interview quotes an exact part of 52, which is the one for disqualifying an individual. Article 52 is very long. It's got sub-articles, it's got clauses, it's quite long. So there are many parts of 52, but they were talking about that particular one. Now, of course, there's been an update in the position of the UPND from that time, which is that, but this proposal was not made by the PF. The one they made was different. So the one we're making is different.
How different is it? Can you state the difference?
For Article 52 submission in this particular one, in A, we are saying we are going to delete the clause 1 and substitute it with the following: a candidate who intends to contest in accordance with Article 47(1) shall file the candidate's nomination to returning officer, and it explains in detail. B, the words determine immediately after the word here. Now, this one talks about the 14 days notice. In 52, that's where we had the famous 14 days, where the president petition was heard in 14 days, but there was no way determine. So we are submitting an inclusion of determine. In Bill 10, there was no issue of determining and defining the 14 days.
No, let's leave out the 14 days issue. Let's focus on an election for 30 days because a candidate has resigned. A candidate has, and this is the issue.
That's why I told you to say, if you listen carefully to that interview, it was not talking about 52 in its entirety. It was talking about a particular clause that was talking about the postponement of an election when someone has been fired. And that's the one the president was talking about. He was not talking about the whole 52. I can go through the submission of 50. It's quite long. For example, in C, we are talking about deleting the clause number 6 and saying it with other provisions. So my point is, it's quite long. Now, just to indulge you, just to target that particular issue that you are raising,
right.
For that particular position, again, it's based on submissions of the people. The people have demanded that we need to reduce on by elections. I think that is a popular position,
and that's where the question comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Which people?
The people are just one, which is the saying that it's not a position of the public to say we should reduce on by elections. But I can assure you that it's a position of the people in all the commissions which have this argument of wanting a fresh commission of inquiry and then delay the process for the sake of election. It does not hold. First and foremost, let me add, when you listen to Chapter 1 Foundation, at some point they said we can't have a constitutional making process before an election. Okay. Now, in 1972, that constitutional amendment was done in the particular year of the election. There were elections in 1972. So when we came to 1991, when the constitution was changed in August, it was just a few months before the election in November, 3 months actually, okay, before the election, 3 months. Then we came to 96. Again, the amendments were done in January. We had the elections, I think were done in December. We came to 2020, the NCC attempt also came just before the elections, 2011. Then we come to 2016, was an election year. So 2021, when butane was being introduced, January, we had elections in August. So when you look at the precedent in terms of timing, all the constitutional review commissions and they were ending in a bill that was being done the year of the election. So actually ours is different. It's the only one that is being done a year before elections. So if we are to follow timing, the UPND is actually much better because we are doing this in 2025. The election are in 2025. It's 2026. So if we have the amendment, it will be the first time we'll be talking about an amendment of 2025 and the elections were 2026. Otherwise, the rest of them is Bill 10 of 2020. It was 2019 when the bill was done, but the voting was done in 2021.
So do you agree that some articles some articles that were proposed to be amended in Bill 10, they actually are in Bill 7?
Those are non-contentious.
Who determines whether they are non-contentious? Because
it's the people that make submissions.
Okay, fine.
Even the debates on the floor of the parliament.
Like I said, the president made an issue of the inclusion of youths, women, among others. Okay?
Yes.
He made it an issue that they didn't need to change it because if the PF at the time were very proactive on this issue, or they really wanted to do this, they could have done it without amending the constitution. They could have showed it in the nominated members of parliament, for example. They could have nominated youths, differently abled people in there. Mm-hmm. They could have done it without amending the constitution. Yes. He said that.
Yes.
And it's in Bill 7. And the question is saying, what has changed between criticizing that point and having it amended?
It's different. What the president was talking about was the political will. Okay, he did not say they did not have the legal mandate or the proposal was wrong. No, he was saying that they are using that proposal, which is progressive, for politics. Okay, so he was demonstrating, because if you look at that time when he was talking, the PF had won 3 elections, 2011, 2015, 2016. So there was a long history of demonstration to show they didn't have the political will to appoint youth as PSAs, as MPs, and so on and so forth, especially MPs in parliament and ministers. With the UPND, we've only done 1 election. And it came at a time when it was so critical that we had to win an election. And most of yes, we admit we haven't had many youth in terms of MPs and all. But if you look at the history of the UPND, most of the MPs now who are there, for example, Cornelius Mwetwa, is in his late 40s. But when he came into power, he was in the early 20s. Most of these MPs who are there, Frank Tayali, all these, they used to be very, very young when they were coming in as MPs. So the political will for the UPND is there. And I'm very sure that when we go, we had people like Greyford Monde, so many of the MPs who were youth in UPND. So the current president has shown is able to nominate young people, is able to nominate so many women. Even among nominated MPs, there are some women there. Doreen Mwamba, Madam Mazoka, they are there. So the demonstration is there. The difference is that with the PF, they had 3 elections to show for it. They didn't show it. With us, we've only had 1. But we'll be able to show in the next election, and even the next, we can compare after 3 that would have done better. But more importantly, to come back to your question, it's not that the president was against the content. He was just saying, this content, I'll tie it with the other earlier quote that you made. The president was saying, even if you have 100 nice things and there's something which is poisonous, it spoils the good things. So for me, I've told you, the submissions we've made in Bill 7, just point at one that is poisonous. There isn't. So with us, all of them are sweet. So with the Bill 10, we had the number.
What do you mean with us, all of them are sweet? Meaning the UPND?
We are the ones who are making submissions, Zach. We are the government. Don't forget, there can only be one government. So we are the UPND in power. We are the ones that do the executive, the ministers, they are from our party. So it is us who are ruling. In Bemba, we say, Treteka. So we are the ones who are ruling. So we are the ones submitting. In the last one, it was the PF. It's just the way democracy works. So our submission as the UPND government, which is going to parliament, doesn't have contentious issues that spoil the rest of the nice things. Yes, Bill 10 had some very progressive things, but the president was very clear the progressive ones were being swallowed by the poisonous ones. And he explained. So my point is that the president, in all those things he said, was on terra firma. He was on firm grounds. And he did not mention they were illegal, they were unconstitutional, but his point was simply that those particular provisions did not come with the political will. So they were being used because they are progressive for something hidden. Now, in our case, those 13 who proposed, there's nothing hidden there. There were so many accusations when we were starting the process. No, they want to remove the running mate. Hey, they want to remove 50% personal. They want to do this. They want to extend the presidential term. It has proven not correct. So we are sincere in the way we are doing this process. So for me, I think the president, in all those things he was talking about, he was okay. Because when you see where we are today, like the Article 52 you mentioned, there was no problem in the way that he was putting it, but we have updated because now we also have to factor in what is coming from out there. Zach, we have consulted in the limited time we have submissions in writing from LAS from between the period of 2021 to now. We have submissions in writing from PF. For example, Mao Sampa made submissions. Bowman Musambo made submissions. There are a number of people who made submissions from the PF. We have submissions from NGOs. But at the end of the day, constitutions are never made in NGO boardrooms. Constitutions are never made in cathedrals. Constitutions are made in parliament. And we have to respect that process. Those who want to make submissions can make submissions at committee stage. Article 79 of the Constitution of Zambia is very instructive in the way a constitution is supposed to be amended. There's a difference between repealing a constitution and amending a constitution. When we are repealing a constitution, we are doing a wholesome a change to the constitution. It makes sense to have a commission of inquiry because we are opening up inquiry on everything. We want to talk about, how the constitution is brought about and all that. Then it makes sense to have a commission of inquiry. When you're having amendments, it is a focused discussion. And you want people that understand these things technically to submit.
And
you
how
don't
they
expect a child
from
Mushangombo to understand the technicalities of a constitution draft bill at this moment to submit. But when we are having a commission of inquiry, even those now can submit because there's enough time to sift through all these.
Yeah.
And
so are you saying submissions are ongoing?
Submissions are open, except at this stage. Here's what happened. When we announced to say we are going to have an amendment, there was a lot of submissions made in February and March. People said things like, we don't want to see the removal of 50% plus one. We don't want to see. The government was listening at the time, taking notes. So by the time we were drafting the bill, by the time the government was drafting the bill, all those submissions had been listened to, and they were not there. So I don't know why people want to say they never made submission. There were submissions made. NGOs were having press conferences. They were having.
So when you say submissions were made, where were they being made
Minister
to?
of Justice. Where else do you submit, Zach? You can't submit to us who are in the party secretariat in Mulombo Close. No, you can't, because we don't take part in the drafting of the actual draft. If you want to make submissions that week, there are only two places you submit to. Prior to the drafting of the draft bill, you take it to Minister of Justice. After the drafting of the bill, you take now to Parliament at committee stage if you want to submit as yourself. However, the Constitution is very clear. In the first 3 words of the Constitution say, "We the people." Now, that's where the debate comes in. There are two schools of thought to say who are the people. Now, who the people can mean you and me, because the Constitution is what we give ourselves to govern ourselves. Human beings by nature need laws to govern them, because when you leave human nature, it becomes the rule of the jungle. So the laws are there, which we give ourselves. Now, we can either, come up with the laws ourselves directly as individuals, where we meet as a country, referendum, and so on, or we can delegate our mandate to representatives who sit in Parliament to then come up with. Now, the Constitution that is in Parliament, which says "we the people gathered," is talking about the Parliament when it sits. Because those MPs that sit, the 156, are representing all of us by the vote we gave them at general election. So when we say the people, it is those people that have got the mandate of people. LAS does not represent the people. It represents lawyers. And not all lawyers anyway, those who are members of LAS. The same way that we have Engineering Institute of Zambia, which represents engineers. The same way we have Resident Doctors Association of Zambia, we've got associations for clinicians, technicians. There are so many professions. LAS is just one of them. Of course, they do look at the law, but they are just an association of lawyers. So for them, they have to submit as well as an interest group like everybody else. Through Ministry of Justice, they have to submit to Parliament. But there's even more importantly, another route which people are trying to ignore. No one in this country has stopped Zach and Oliver to submit to members of Parliament. Members of Parliament are going to be given a chance to debate the draft bill in Parliament. Every MP is going to speak to the draft. So there's nothing stopping you and me approaching your MP. My MP is Mike Mposha. Nothing stops me from making my submission to Mike Mposha. He will look at my submissions. When he goes on the floor of Parliament, he will speak. It's very common for MPs to say, "My people in Munari have said this."
You are a consultant to a ruling party, right? And I think that you play a critical role in advising indirectly government, because your party to which you consult is in government. It's the party in government. Let's get to the issue quickly on the Electoral Reform Technical Committee report. Laz has raised the issue to say, why has it become a state secret?
Yeah, this is a very dishonest association or club.
Well, it may not only be them, but I think there are a number of people who are questioning, why is it kept in?
Yes,
I think ECZ was asked to say, ECZ, as long as they know they have done their part and they're submitted to government, it's up to government to make it public. But government's still holding on to it. And now it's being called a secret document.
Yeah, Laz is a very dishonest club. These are guys who understand the law better than me, a layman. Okay? And they should be honest enough to tell Zambians to say, in the past, ECZ had the mandate to publish reports to the general public. In 2016, the PF changed the laws of Zambia. ECZ can no longer, for example, after they do delimitation, they cannot publish the report of delimitation. They have to submit to the executive. The executive is the one now that gets that report and then can publish it by way of gazette and so on. The other one, ECZ used to publish every time presidents declare their assets. ECZ would publish the declaration of assets. They have changed that law and said that no, we no longer publish. Meaning when these guys have when ECZ have finished what they are doing, they will submit to government. LAS knows that. The general public out there don't know. So LAS is a very dishonest club because they are trying to confuse the people, thinking that government is holding on to the reports, doesn't want to publish, when they know, and some of their members are just trying to parrot the position of the opposition. Because if they are told the people to say, oh, the law was changed, ECZ is no longer able to publish, they take reports now to government. It is now government to publish. Now government is on record that they are going to publish the delimitation report. They were reviewing it. I'm sure it will be done before July, when the bill is in parliament. It will be published. They are talking about electoral reform. Again, ECZ is a very dishonest club, because electoral reforms are supposed to be done in parliament. When that report is submitted to government reviews it, then they will come up with a draft bill that will go to parliament. It's a subsidiary law to the constitution. Act is going to go to, bill will go to parliament to be enacted into law and then assented by the president. So if LAS knows this, they know that the limitation is with the government, the report. Actually, Zach, for your own information, the delimitation report is from 2019. Okay? It's from 2019. It was not done during the time of UPN. It was done by the PF. That's when the limitation was done. Even the report was done that time. But PF did not release the report because they changed the law after 2016. So from 2016 change of law, 2019 you have the limitation, then they did not release. So we are going to release that report as the UPND government. The UPND government will release that report around after reviewing. So so even the issue of presidential wealth and declaration are not telling. Come the end of July, these reports have been published, and it's not just a report, and not an end in itself. These are tools that are used by government for decision making. So these reports are used by government now to come up with a draft. So that draft for the Electoral Act of Zambia, the amended one, is going to be fed by what is coming from the limitation report, as well as whatever other submissions have been made to the. And remember also, it is important for the Electoral Act to wait for the Constitution, because when the Constitution is changed and you are, for example, 156 MPs are changed into 211 elected ones, but your Act is saying 156, so it can't be done the other way. People done before. No. We have to wait for the Constitution to be done, because that's the supreme law of the Republic of Zambia. These others are subsidiary laws which are subservient to the Constitution. So we cannot expect these reports and drafts to be done earlier. So, like I submit again, LAS is being just a dishonest club there.
It raised an issue on, I need you to be quickly on this, because I want to open the phone lines as early as possible so that people may have time to actually debate this as well. There's an issue of the member of parliament. I think that, let me just get that right. All right. So section 8 of the bill proposes to amend Article 7(8) of the Constitution to enable vacancies in the office of member of parliament to be filled by political parties from which the MP was elected. This is dangerous, they say, especially with weak intra-party democracy within political parties. If not, only deprives citizens of the right to choose leaders of their choice to represent them in parliament, but can also result in abuse where democratically leaders or elected leaders of the people in National Assembly are wholesomely replaced. Now, this one again comes out as an issue that, other than LAS, a number of people are not comfortable with.
Okay, Article 57, where there's a proposal to amend it. I think, I mean, it's just, Zach, me, I'll tell you, I'll tell you sitting here very comfortably. This is I don't know who said those words. This is a damn good law. I can't remember who was that who said it. This is a very good proposal. All those, if you listen to all these submissions, it's not about the law being broken. It's not about fundamentals being wrong. It is about feelings, human feelings, to say this can be abused. This can be, anything can be abused. even water can be abused. Anything can be abused because that is now depending on the human element.
So what makes it good?
Let me finish. That now depends on the human element, and you can't legislate human behavior and human element. Okay, for us, what matters is the law being good and favors everyone. Now, if you look at the proposals for amendment of Article 57, it talks about vacancies happening in the office of the MP, whether independent or those who are sponsored by the party.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's just disingenuous, it's just dishonest by those who are making those submissions. They should tell the people when they read what the whole provision says. For example, if a party, and this is shocking that Laz is the one saying this, because they should have read. Me, I'm an engineer, I'm not a lawyer, but I read this law and I'm able to understand as a layman, and I can comfortably state that the law is the submission is very, very clear. If a party wants to hound out an MP, okay, and it is
elected MP,
yes, and it's illegitimate, it's just frustration, the law protects the MP.
How?
They can opt out and they will remain an independent MP. So as long as they can prove in a court of law that whatever that expulsion is not proper, they will remain an independent MP. So there's no losing that seat by the member of parliament. The provision for having
and if he remains independent, meaning the party in
they've
that
lost
question,
the seat
they've
because
lost the
they were
seat.
trying to be funny. So this thing which Lungsan is saying, to say there's a weak intra-party, whatever, look, at the end of the day, it's called democracy. Okay? For example, the PF had a constitution where only one man voted at the convention. You met at the convention, SATA would appoint everybody, but it was called an election. And everyone was put in that, I think for PF it was, I can't remember, not MCC, I can't remember what they used to call the supreme body. So you can't fault the PF and say that is wrong. That is their constitution. They've given it to themselves. The same way that Lungisan is able to come on air and speak on behalf of lawyers who are complaining he never consulted them. But he has some legitimacy and mandate to an extent. But the moral argument is that he doesn't have the moral obligation the moral standing to be attacking others when he hasn't consulted himself. Otherwise, when we go back to this issue and the submission that is being made on this, the law as submitted in Bill 7 of 2025 is very instructive. If a political party wants to expel somebody and there's illegitimacy in the process, what Lungisan is talking about, the MP can get recourse with the third arm of government, and once he proves his case, he will be allowed to hold the seat as an independent. The provision for avoiding by-elections, the rationale is simple: to save funds. So, in the way that we are going now, it's very dangerous. Somebody gets a job, resigns. Somebody dies. If somebody is found guilty, we have to do by-election. So we need to have a bit of sanity in terms of by-election stability. It favors the opposition because in the past, all they were doing is when the ruling party wins, and right now it's very clear the president is winning next year. He doesn't have competition. There's no one that can go around this country and campaign the remaining 8 months. We only have 9 months to reach May for nominations. It won't happen. So the president wins. He may not have the numbers, for example, and then he decides to poach from across other parties. If he was to do that, what would happen is that the opposition would lose those seats. But now the opposition can simply find a legitimate reason to expel the person and replace him with their own. So meaning that it protects the opposition. So there are many ways of looking at it when you are honest. But when you're not honest, you try and twist. But the goodness is that these things are in black and white. No matter how somebody is going to lie about them, they are written up. I can predict you, Zach, when you open the cause, all the cause that will come, all of them, there's no one who's going to talk to this law, quote any law, and tell us that this process that the government has started is illegal or it is irregular according to a particular act or according to the law or something. It will just be about personal feelings to say we prefer this process or prefer that, and there's no alternatives. LAS has not provided an alternative. In that submission they've made, they have not even proposed to say this is how it should be done, simply because, one, the constitution is not instructive in the way you do consultation. The president is the one that has got the power to institute how consultation will be done. So if he decides he's going to do what we call in research retrospective research instead of formative research, it is up to him. He's got a mandate to do that.
This is the Thursday edition of the Burning Issue on the Happy World of 5 FM radio. We are discussing strictly the Constitution Amendment Bill number 7 of 2025. And my guest in the studio is Mr. Oliver Shalala. He is the United Party for National Development Consultant. And I will be taking your phone calls on 0955 221515 for your participation. Also, leave us a comment on our Facebook page. That's 5FM Radio Zambia. Look up for it, like it, and leave us a comment. We'll definitely look at it. Let's take this call. Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. This is the voice of Wapura.
Yes, Mulenga.
The party
Consultant.
Consultant. Shalala.
Sorry, Shachumfeshina, boss.
Moses.
The voice of Wapura.
Okay, boss.
Mulero Ndorola Buino, Nero Tamulalanda Temuralo, and Achila Monapachi Muralo. Because I explained from 1964, I'm a constitution for Yale and from what Yambiale went for before 2 months. Yambiale, what same year after my election, Nero Bayamba. Number 5 Momayamba Muri 2025, then in 2026, next year, to my election. Time which could we see? Time yena ikulu because muchibemba tulanda tramkorowenga bafula tabucha bwangu. That's why mule mwena Zambia development iraba kwatira cherwa ko kutalikana evyo muleta jisharero leturaole because kuleta constitution ni military. That's why mwena na development mwalamba byo kutalikana bwacha bwaila muleta alikana. Straight look at the delimitation. Delimitation imamwali ba PF bali sabapanga mananikani. Balanda chimpika chakulisha twarapanga mu district yatatu takwali problem. Bapanga la Bushimanda, bapanga mu Kanchivia. Twaya kumkushi, bapanga ko Lwano. Twayoko bapanga ko Shwangani. Nomba pecho akosa ponchish. Ka simple vyeisho akatule tarikana fe every day. Utalanda kwechi, uyalanda kwechi. Muchibe mbatulanda tiwiliro wikuite. Iliri ashitwale mu parliament. Nga bavota balanda tinino nivyo fine. Nga balanda tiesi nivyo fine. Ukuchila tule tarikana.
Twatotera bamulenga.
Umuntu techibe gunangu. Fe timo fe mconstitution mumkachumu.
Twatotera, your time is up. Let's take another one on 0955. You keep repeating the same things. Let's be progressive. I'm giving a minute to each. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Thank you very much for calling. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Moses, I'm calling you from Muzini Lusaka. Our guest, good morning.
Good morning, Moses.
Please, Moses, go ahead and make your case. You've got a minute.
Indeed, the people said no to this, and I think any reason in government like the UPND, they should just abandon this. Don't impose the things on the people. Even some of those articles that you are talking about, for example, in a candidate dies, then the second should be over. Give me one example of any country, any democratic country under this world, which is practicing what the UPND is suggesting. Even the number the members of parliament, 50 plus. Tell me where the country is going to get the money to start paying all those politicians. When you are failing to employ those volunteers, doctors who are helping us every day, you are failing to employ them. But you wanted to bring up 50 plus 1 members of parliament. Do we have the money for that? So for me, I think we should listen from the stakeholders. Don't demean the Zambian people by saying no. Our organization like Malazi, church and so on. Ndelelani mupane mwenze mu opposition nali kusushi. My wanzani wa sushi lero then you want to demean them. That's not how you govern the country. So for me, I love my president. This one, he has done well in some areas, but on this one, I'm saying no. You abandon it. Don't even waste our time. We have got important issues to talk about. We are listening. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Moses. Let's take another one. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Mr. Zach.
Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Andrew. I'm calling from Osaka.
Yes, Andrew.
Good morning, Mr. Shalala.
Morning, Mr. Andrew.
Yeah. So, on the case, listening to that case, and I'm really shocked the way it's coming out. You know, when UPND was in opposition, the president was, campaigning. They spoke very well, and I've been trying to see the point where everything went wrong. And today, I'm happy that I found the reason. So this is one the UPND that we are in a mess. These are the consultants that UPND is banking on. A consultant. So consultant, question number one, and I want you to answer that. You said that first of all you label us as a dishonest organization. You say the lawyers are complaining that the president did not consult them during the last president. There are some lawyers that complain to you, Mr. Shalala.
Yes, I can even show you examples on social media. Yes, they are there.
On social media.
Yes.
Or social media consult. Okay. Yeah. So you say that laws are not made in cathedrals. Laws are not made in NGO boardrooms. Sir, you are very wrong. You are absolutely very, very wrong. All the citizens of this country, they've got a responsibility, they've got a duty to make those laws in Parliament are made on behalf of the citizens. And the citizens must be given an opportunity to make submissions. The problem which we have to do is this process is very secretive. We are talking about you go and tell you what you want. No, it has to be a structured, orderly way of making submissions. Where is the roadmap? Where is the timetable? If you've given us the timetable, it has to be structured, Mr. Shalala. The constitution is not like you are just there at home making a budget, which Madam and no, we have a budget, this one, let's plan for this and this one. No. This is a national document we're talking about. So don't trivialize this document. You are sitting there as a consultant, and you need to be very pragmatic and very optimistic, and you need to tell the truth. You can't just say no. Those who make the mission.
Hello, Mr. Andrew.
He's gone beyond 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll then go ahead and pick another one. Let me pick this call. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm fine, thank you. Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
This is Bright from Matero.
The name again?
Bright from Matero.
Bright.
Yes.
Please go ahead, Bright.
Yes. Observation, which is very educated. But I think the gentleman there should advise his party that they need to listen to people. Not the arrogance that is portraying even on radio. So, the club like Laz
Zach, I request protection.
Maybe wait.
No,
he's still making a point.
No, I request protection.
Let him make a point.
No, I request protection. I can't be attacked on live radio and you let it slide. Someone can't.
No, I don't think he has
arrogant.
Someone can't call me arrogant, and Zach, you are sitting there.
Okay. UPND is being arrogant to Zambia because Zambians have.
So have you withdrawn the personal attack on me? Because I don't understand why you went personal against me. I don't think I've insulted anyone, or so I don't understand why you would go.
Okay, not you, but the party that you are representing is being arrogant.
You said
the party has grown big-headed to Zambians because it doesn't want to listen to Zambians. the same NGOs that you are calling, whatever you are calling them, which do not make the constitution in their boardrooms or wherever, these are people that voted for UPND, okay? And you need to listen to them. These are people that supported you when you were in opposition as UPND. You called on lies whenever things were happening. When lies was quiet, you argued, why is lies quiet on this? Should lies talk now, then they become just a club like any other, okay? When then you listened to them and you wanted their voice, Zambians have cried. There are a lot of things that UPND can channel their energy to, apart from this thing that you are pushing so much. And we are asking, why should UPND give us the draft constitution instead of us submitting? Okay? It's like submitted to you as UPND government. But then life comes on and say, okay, I think this is not what maybe we submitted. Okay. Why not do the right thing? Why do you want to still go ahead against the wishes of the people? If you check how many calls that you're going to receive now and check those that will support the same thing that you are pushing for, you find that the numbers will be fewer than those that are saying, let's talk to you. And that should give you the insight to say, okay, people are not of the idea. Okay? That is listening to that. Zach,
yes.
I was very hurt when I...
Zach,
let him finish.
1 minute.
Let him finish.
No, Zach. I think
you were ahead of what?
No, let's be professional, Zach.
You
cut the first caller. Zach, you cut the first caller because you're supporting the constitution.
Can you let a caller say and you can rebut on what he will say? Is that okay?
Okay. I was hurt, Zach. That's why I'm saying they're big-headed. I was hurt when the younger drivers complained, and then the minister in charge says, uninstall the app, instead of addressing the issue that the people are going through. Okay? That is the level of the arrogance that is in UPND.
Thank you, Bright. Thank you, Bright. Your time is up now, and I think that we will not get into what the minister said. We want to stick to the constitution for now. Thank you for calling. You too can call us on 0955-221515. Allow me to take as many calls as possible so that you have, because some of them I think will have similar submissions, I believe. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Mr. Moderator?
Not too bad. Thank you. How are you today?
Very fine. My name is Philemon from Turika, Zambia.
Yes, Philemon, you have a minute. Please go ahead.
A minute when that previous caller gave him 10 minutes.
He's biased.
Listen, just your time is ticking as we speak. That's all I can say. But make your point. Don't talk to me. Just make your submission.
Not 1 minute. Coming to this amendment is a way to... Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
My consultant, my boss there, is speaking very well, and he has explained things very well. On that, in this country, we've got even journalists who have gone to the extent of watching this amendment. Imagine, at the end of the day, you are saying, I'm a by-elections, yari dula sana. Now there is a clause that wants to discourage them by-elections. What kind of Zambians are we? You are saying, no, I'm a women in parliament. You people living with disability. So are you telling me that these things are contentious? There is this adage in our Bemba language, Kanoinga Evo. No, this project should be done after 2026 when somebody wins. What of under this current regime? One Zambia, one nation. And I'm urging you, my professors. You are elected now, my degree holders. You are elected. That's why there was a time when Mr. Sata was these my professors because of this kind of conduct. They are supporting things to please others. These are progressive clauses, my dear. 52 clauses. Make Mr. Bai, as long as he wants, he can manipulate clause and stay in power for 1,000 years. No, now allow me at this juncture to urge my leadership. ngasibafuna amendment, let it be so that we can push Mr. Bali to be in power forever and Mr. complain. Because Mr. Bali is very magnanimous enough. You want to flush off this 52 clause so that whoever comes in after him, you know, these my irregularities can be addressed. My professors, where are you? You want to please Walungu or because they are against it.
Thank you. Thank you, Philemon. Thank you, Philemon.
In conclusion, how many times have we amended this constitution? In 1923, 93, 96, in the year of elections, amendment was done. Now it has become sinister for Mr. Barry, even to amend before the election year. It has become a problem.
Thank you.
May God bless you.
You too. Thank you very much for that. Would you like to respond to?
Yeah, Zach. I'll start with Zach. I think for me, really, protect me when I'm on your show.
You feel I didn't protect you?
No, you didn't, and you actually encouraged him. It's not the right thing to do.
Where did you feel offended?
You can't let somebody continue calling me arrogant on live radio, and you are listening there. Secondly, his time ran out. You allowed him to continue when you knew he's abusing me. That's why even this last caller complained. So I think on that one, please, just on housekeeping, let's not have that.
I would have as well asked that you should not have attacked Laz that way, because they were not here to defend themselves.
I talked about Laz being dishonest. That's an institution, and I gave the reason. He did not give a reason why he thought I was arrogant. He was attacking me. Okay, imagine now we change from this debate, we start calling each other names, Zach. So for me, I think on that one, please, on professional grounds, protect me when I'm on your show. So now, the same Zach talked about those who are now attacking the amendments of UPND actually voted for PF. Sorry, voted for UPND and the UPND. I can assure you, almost everyone that you are seeing very active, maybe save for Laura. The rest of the people that you are seeing.
Wouldn't you think Laura is representing a number of people?
Laura represents her interest, which is her NGO. She doesn't represent UPND. She's not a UPND member. She represents the interest of her NGO. And the time that she was in opposition, it was tallying with UPND. She's consistent. She's not a UPND member. So she was representing her NGO. She's representing her NGO even now. She's funded by taxpayers. She's not voted for in opposition by the general public. She doesn't represent the people of Zambia. She's got a board that she reports to. She's got donors that she reports to. She doesn't represent the people of Zambia like we do in a party. So those that argument of saying the UPND worked with these people, they voted for the UPND, we should work with them, it falls off, because if you look at the identities of the people that are actually speaking against these amendments, most of them never voted for the UPND. So there's no way that should stay. Then so this issue of I've addressed Zach. I think I'll leave it like that. Andrew from Lusaka asked for a very structured and orderly process. Now, I don't understand what Andrew wasn't clear about when he says there should have been a structured and ordered process for submissions. There should be a timeline. There should be. I don't know what other structure Zach Andrew wants, because we have a timeline which was issued, which clearly states the dates. Even the day that this bill will be in Parliament on 24th, it is clear. The day that the bill would be published was very, very clear. The day that we have the second reading, all the time the committee will be sitting, everything has been there. Even in March, when the amendment, the areas of concern were raised, it was there in the timeline. Actually, people were asking for the timeline. It was given. Next, they said, give us the bill. It was given. On all those stages, they did not complain. When they said, give us the timeline, it was given. They didn't say the timeline is wrong. Later on, they said, no, we want to see the bill. We gave them the bill. They are okay with it. What they're not happy with is just the process. So even all these issues about the report for the limitation, whatever, they will be given. You will see that eventually they will be okay. Actually, I've not seen the limitation report, but my PF colleagues mentioned to me that the reason they did not publish the delimitation report is because it was pointing towards increasing numbers of constituencies in what was perceived opposition strongholds that time. Because these are the ones which have got the longest distances. These are the ones which have got the biggest populations. So if you are to, for example, Nalikwanda ward, is almost 100 kilometers plus in terms of distance. So by all means, it has to be cut. So that's why the PF could not implement. This is what my PF colleagues have told me. I have not seen the actual report, but I can hazard a guess that when it comes out, it will point towards it, and it's the PF who did it anyway. So it will point towards that kind of thing. But these will be given. So at no point have people complained. I'll go to Moses. Moses is from Lusaka. Moses is telling us we should abandon the process of these amendments. And the reason he says we should listen to the people. Now, I've argued so many times on this show to say the people are gathered in parliament. The alternative time people are gathered is when they are voting during general elections. Then they put in a parliament, they put in a president. The president speaks for the people. They is voted for by the people, the majority of people. Actually, HH is the most popular president ever, maybe short of Chiluba. But in terms of absolute number of votes, he's the most popular ever, beyond anyone else. So he's got the biggest mandate ever given to a president. He represents many more people. So it's normal, Zach, for people to speak against. It will never happen where people agree. Zach himself mentioned to say the majority that will call might be against, but he agreed that there will be those in support. And it is
well,
clear.
That was Bright, not Zach.
Oh, Bright, sorry.
Yeah.
Bright, sorry for using for mistaking his name to Zach. So Bright said there will be the majority will be against, but when I follow the numbers, it's showing 2.5 because one was just in between. That is Andrew, though he was against. Then Mulenga and Philemon were for. So, but if you look at Moses, Andrew, and Zach,
I think Mulenga said he loves the president, but he should drop this.
No, Mulenga said the timing is perfect. This is Mulenga, the first caller. He said timing is perfect. Arguments in Zambia will never develop the country. At Wirira Uikwite, that was Mulenga. He quote from Lwapula. Mulenga said the president should proceed. Arguments will never end, and will never develop the country by listening to everyone. That's what Mulenga said. And in his view, the timing is fine. There shouldn't be an issue. Philemon said the timing is fine. My point is we've got 5 callers, almost half each. So there will never be a point where we can agree with everybody. But what matters is that the process is following the law. We are using Article 79, and there's no stage in Article 79 which has been abused, skipped, or not used. So I think for us, we are on firm grounds. What is important is people to make submissions. They know they can make submissions to their MPs. They know they can make submissions at committee stage. But as at now, most of the people who are against are just politicking because they have a chance to make submissions.
Can I read out a few comments on
Sure.
on our Facebook page? We've got a couple that have come through. This one says, Richard Kuzwayo Nkata says Bill 7 must fall. Kwenyu, all right, that's what he says. Philemon Shimulonga says, good morning, guest. Why is the UPND so eager to amend the constitution? And why now, when the president himself called Bill 10 toxic? Kindly hear what the people of Zambia are saying. It's a no for us. Remember, we are the ones who put you in office. Josta Kaula Moya, who says, good morning, Zach and Mr. Shalala. Those people who are saying the people have rejected Bill 7, where they place those who are where do they place those who are supporting the bill and the proposed amendments? Let the bill go to parliament and vote. Done. Majority wins. Those against for the bill are all Zambians. Angelina Fueta. So Angelina Fueta says, this man is refusing something that we all as a country had when the president now said that there was no need for Bill 10. He protested against the Bill 10. She comes back and says, if the UPND government means well for the Zambians, then let them not force this amendment on us. Why are they bent on amending it? A no is a no from the people of Zambia. Roderick Pelembe, good morning, guest. Please listen to the people, what they say. Drop the Bill 7 concentrate on helping people of Zambia who are suffering. UPND, you are not listening. Let me read the last two. Douglas Munyima says, but the president called Bill 10 toxic. How come today other clauses are in it? Chris Banda says, hi, Zach. The guest has just admitted that the proposed amendments, rather, are coming from the UPND government. Kindly ask him if that is the correct process for constitutional amendment. Let me read the last one. Good morning. It's coming from William ZM. He says, good morning, Zach and the guest. This is William Ngenda within Bauleni. To those callers who are just refusing because my party officials are refusing, so even me, I will refuse. No, don't just say the constitutional amendments favors the UPND. Tell us how and which clauses. For your own information, we are all not former PF commanders who buys anything their bosses say. All right. I think that's pretty much what I have. I will check in for some more a little later. But for now, you can respond to those before we take some more calls.
Yeah. Okay. It's difficult to go one by one because then we'd use up the last 20 minutes remaining just responding to comments. But I think generally, like I said, Zach, no matter what comments will come through today, there will be no comments that are going to say anything wrong with the content. So far, I've not seen a single submission that is against the content. Everybody is happy with the content. Everybody is happy. The only comments that I'm seeing which are against are talking about what they consider to be the best process. Now, that best process is subjective. It depends on the person, how you were socialized, your primary socialization, your secondary socialization, your resocialization, your background, what motivates you, where do you belong to, your religion, your political party, and so on and so forth. Those are subjective judgments. Now, we don't do laws based on subjective feelings, because then we are not doing a law that will stand the test of time. We have to go by objective ways. Now, I'll keep restating it. Even now, I'll challenge callers, I'll challenge writers. No one is going to submit to you to say this particular clause is either illegal or is wrong. The alternative is this one. No. These are very progressive submissions. It is good. The only argument that is there is that no, let's have a more inclusive process. Let's have more discussions, that kind of thing. That is motivated by different issues. I've mentioned most of the people like NGOs and whatever, they are used to this process. When I was younger, when I was UNZASU president at UNZASU publicity secretary at University of Zambia in 96, we were involved in advocacy in politics. We were involved in Committee for a Clean Campaign. I was in the NGO sector. I worked with FODEP. I worked with Operation Young Vote. I worked with so many of these NGOs that, Afronet, Women for Change. I even worked at NGOs for about 5 years. So these particular NGOs are people that we've worked with. Prior to the last elections, Linda Kasonde's NGOs, we worked with them one way or the other. So we know what drives them and what motivates them. But they don't respond or they don't report to the Zambians. No, their interests are elsewhere, which is their boards, which is their funders. And most of the times, they're not funded by Zambians anyway. They are funded by foreigners. So the agendas that they push are not for and by the Zambians. Government, on the other hand, is voted for by the Zambians. I've forgotten the name of the last comment that you mentioned, who was saying the particular proposals going to parliament are by the UPND, but is that the right process? I've said yes. Article 79, how the process is done, which is that we get all the submissions from the people. After we get the submissions, government, which is the ruling government, will sit down, draft a bill, which they do through Attorney General signs it off and sends it to Parliament for enactment. Commission of Inquiries, that is just for inquiries people up with broad-based positions, which are then fed into the draft. That has been done repeatedly since 1964. Actually, even before 64, there are some that we still use from way back, the labor law, even traditional boundaries of 1958. So there are laws we still use even from before 1964. All these feed into what we are doing today. So all the reports, Shona Commission 1974, Mvunga Commission 91, Wira Ngomba Commission 96, and the others that came afterwards, the CRC, where when Dixon Jira, I think it was Chifumbanda led by that time, and even the NCC and others, all these, if you look at them properly, the motivation factor for NGOs is this thing of going around, getting allowances, getting whatever. But at the end of the day, they will just make submissions to the same government that is the one to draft the bill. So it does not change the process. Even if you get a more elaborate submission process, it will still end up with government to do the bill. What we are saying is that in this particular iteration, the constitution is a living document. It doesn't mean that if we change it today, we cannot change some other things after elections. Yeah, we can still come back and do a more comprehensive one, and even possibly repeal the whole. We can to a system that had, a different kind of. For example, right now we have what we call a unicameral parliamentary system, where we only have one chamber and all the MPs sit in one chamber. In other countries like the USA, in Kenya, we have bicameral, where you have a Senate and a House of Representatives. We might go to that direction later, but that will need more consultation. For these particular submissions we are making now in the amendments, they are not contentious. That's why we were able to get from different reports in the past. I don't know why people keep ignoring. Are they saying they never made submissions to butane? Are they saying they never made submissions to Mvunga Commission? Are they saying they didn't make submissions to the NCC and all this? All those reports, we have read them as the UPND. The government has read them and picked all those. Are they saying that those things of women representation have expired? No, they have not. Those reports are alive, and what the government has used. However, the timeline is very clear how people are going to be consulted. People can still proceed to submit to their MPs, who can debate at first reading. When it comes to second reading and committee stage where submissions are made, people can still proceed and make submissions. People will be invited. Last will be invited. Last time they refused to go there. They might agree or refuse again, but that's their difference. The beauty of democracy is that it's the majority that wins. The UPND does not have the monopoly of knowledge. We understand. No wonder we have to go across to the other people. The UPND does not have the majority in parliament. So we don't enjoy the arrogance of numbers. However, we know that these are things that are going to support. Almost every MP is supporting delimitation. One caller, I think it was Bright, why are you increasing the number of constituencies? Then you are going to have 52 new MPs. You are going to have all these other nominated MPs, 10 for women. For women, I think it's 20. Then 12 for youth and 3 for disabled. Where does the money come from? The same Bright is not telling the listeners that by increasing the number of constituencies, we are actually increasing the amount of money that will move from central government to local government at constituency level. So right now, if you have a constituency, for example, he talked about it, where they split Mpika into 3. We had Kanchiwia, I think it was, did you mention Shwangando and the other one? About 3 split from one particular district. Then you've got different constituency given there. So if we have a big constituency, which is getting 36.1 million kwachas at now as CDF, it will be split into 2, and that the same number of people who are remaining in that constituency are now entitled to double the constituency, the CDF, which will be 72.2. Now, that means more development. The number of desks being delivered will double. The number of bridges being done will double. All this, but this person only wants to look at salaries. Now, if you look at actual numbers, salaries of the MPs and everything, we tally them together. The amount is so infinitesimal when you compare with the amount of money that will go into constituencies for development. Right now, in the rural areas of Zambia, people are very happy with this government because of what has happened in those, the development there, agriculture, how we have the biggest bumper harvest ever, and things like that. So you can't talk about the process being flawed and then attack increase of number of MPs when that is the position everybody wanted. And by the way, it is legal. We are supposed to have a delimitation every 10 years. So if we reach January next year without delimitation, we'll have a constitutional crisis because the law demands that we have to have delimitation every 10 years. The last delimitation was done in 2016. So January next year, it will be 10 years. So we have to have delimitation. We have to increase the number of constituencies. We have to increase the number of wards. And then that should be done before the next election. So we can't postpone this process until after the election, because what would be the point of increasing? Then you can't actually actualize it. And like I keep saying, it doesn't matter, Zach, whether we do amendments in 2020, 2021, 2022, 23 until now. Every year that you amend the constitution is before the next election. So they will never be, logically speaking and technically speaking, every year is before the next election. So you can't say that, no, why are you doing it before the next election? Even if we do it one day after the election 2026, it will be before the next election. So there will always be a next election. So that argument falls out. And secondly, the life of parliament continues until 90 days before elections, when it is dissolved, as at now. After amendment, it will change, maybe dissolved a day before. But a business of the House continues until 90 days. So whether in the current constitution or whether in the proposed amendments, the business of the parliament ends 90 days before elections. So meaning between now and 90 days before elections, parliament is free to enact laws. Constitution is one of the laws. So why should we stop one particular law from being enacted in parliament and continue enacting until 90 days? For us, like I've said, if you follow timing, we are even much, much better than other previous governments because we're doing it a year before. The others were doing it the actual year of election. So that's what I'll submit on those comments.
So listen, I'll take a few calls, not necessarily that you should respond to them because of time. It's fine. We'll just take them as submissions. Good morning.
Good morning, Zach. How are you?
Not too bad. Thank you. Please give us your name and where you're calling us from.
You are speaking to Brother Chisha in Lusaka.
Brother Chisha, make your submission, sir.
Thank you so much. Mr. Shalala, how are you?
I'm okay now, Boss Chisha.
I'm fine, thank you so much. In the first place, Shalala, I have advice for you. It's like you are complaining too much when callers are submitting. You are on radio program and be ready to respond to any questions. Let me go ahead and register myself. Mr. Shalala, don't say people are out with content. Say some people, because personally I'm not happy with the content you are referring to.
Okay, submit.
Why am I not happy?
Submit, yes, why are you not happy, so that I can take note.
Let me talk about the issue of not having by-elections wherever the member of parliament dies or resigns. You just got to go and pick one from the winning party. For me, that one is a very, very bad idea. What makes it to be so bad to me? For example, you were in elections with Tonse and UPND. I'm giving you an example, like we had elections in 2021. Then this is 2024. People are no longer in favor of UPND as a political party. They don't like the policies and they want change. How can you impose a candidate on people because the previous candidate or maybe the previous MP was for UPND? Then you go ahead and bring another one. When people, they don't want you as UPND or maybe they don't want Tonse, you go and bring Tonse again to represent people who are no longer happy with your Tonse. Can you call that one as a good one? The answer is no. This is not monarchy, Mr. Shalala. We are in a democratic dispensation where people should conduct elections and everything. You can't tell me to say, no, let's run away from expensive elections. When we are busy doing other things which are more expensive than elections, democracy is not cheap, Mr. Shalala. No wonder we are telling you to say, why are you in a hurry as UPND? My brother, look at Catholic. They are against your ideas of going with these constitution reforms. Talk of us whom you are calling not being serious. Talk about these other people who are against this process. Are you sure you are the only one who are wise, the UPND, to come up with this process? So my advice to you, Mr. Shalala, is that sit down with your leaders. Sit down with your leaders. Listen to the voice of people who are calling for this process to be abandoned. Leave it. You don't impose on people's constitution. This paper is supposed to be called a national constitution. It's not a UPND constitution. If you are in a hurry, maybe you are so stressed as a UPND to reform constitution, go ahead and reform the UPND constitution. Leave the national constitution alone. People of Zambia, they are not in support of it, my brother. Why do you want to force it on people?
Thank you, Brother Chisha. Thank you, Brother Chisha. Thank you. Thank you very much. I meant to pick just to give you just a minute, but let me take another one. Good morning.
Hello, Razak. Mwashuke.
Nashubuka mkwae, mwashubuka jan.
I am kwa. Niba abo muri nabo parade wabare tubepa.
Niba Oliver Shalala, UPND Consultant.
You know, this is Mombipiri. I'm calling you from Chongwe.
Yes,
It's
Madam.
very sad. Me, have been a parliamentarian twice. I never saw a bill, its origin State House. This bill 10 originally, we had it from the president himself. Next, it was I don't know what they call him, specialist, Yamasaka. When the minister, we're supposed to be the originator of that bill, Princess Katsune, but the only thing which I'm happy about, me, I'm just telling the members of parliament and the citizenry at large, either like Okonjikala Kuno Kuchonga constituency, Satara Monapo MP Masebo, write a meeting to consult on what we want in that constitution, if we agree or not. So when it's brought on the floor of the House, who are they going to represent? And I've seen, as I said earlier, this before. Elizabeth Chitika happened to them. MP Udina Mano Asandi Repo, because people rose and none of them came back to Parliament. And as I conclude, as our Catholic Church has guided us, which I'm very na babeba ba Katolika ba minister ba dimudi ubuteko na ma MPs to listen to the word of God. And if they wish, let them follow by UPND. Baka to sanga on the ground. If it will pass without concession, I'm telling you, they will go. That's what will happen to them. Otherwise, it's very sad. I've never seen a president who has been an originator in this democracy called Zambia. And as I conclude, hands up to the critics for using that bribe.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Oof, that line is. Hello?
Zaki.
Yes, please.
The guest, how are you?
I'm okay, and how are you, boss?
I'm okay. I'm speaking to Mr. Chikubabe.
Yes, Mr. Chikubabe.
You know, Zaki, let us respect the democracy of the country. After that bill, it must be withdrawn. We, as a country, we have got people who are representing us. We have got the NGOCC, we have got Raw Association of Zambia, we have got so many churches. Those people, if they have rejected the bill, let Akainde and his government will withdraw from that. Because these are the people who are representing us. Why forcing us? Bazak, why UPND they wanted to force us? Okay, let me talk about by-election. Zambia is a democratic country. No matter they can say no, by-election are not good. No, by-election are good. This by-election which you see, it's a very bad. You cannot just give it to somebody from the constituency that person. Democracy is very expensive, right? This country, when we enter into democracy, mind you that we enter to expensive things. The education which they want to give us, who told them that these constitutions are big? What is the MPs of these they want to give us? What are they going to do there? What is the law of a member of parliament? Make law. Does it mean that we want so many members of parliament to go to a parliament and make a law? The answer is no. So let us be very serious for our country. This is our country. Everyone
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chikwabe. Thank you very much for your submission.
I'm requesting to use the last 2 minutes to respond to this.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I'll start with Honorable Mumbipiri. Her accusation is that the president started the process. I don't know what she means, because the bill that is on parliament, that is before the floor, is signed off by Attorney General coming from Minister of Justice. So I don't know what she's talking about, but the process that was used to come up with this draft bill is the same one that has been used all the time. It's discussed in cabinet before it is out. So if the president is aware and he mentions, he's the president, he's one of the spokespersons for the government, so he can mention that we are discussing this and it came out. But the process is the same. Cabinet decides, it goes through Minister of Justice, then it goes to Parliament. So that is not really an issue. Yeah, again, I predicted all these who call, no one is going to talk about, Mumbipiri has not talked about the content. She's talking about the process. The Catholic, she's talking about rejecting donation. They've got no connection with the I can come here, Zach, for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks. There's no one. Actually, I can tell you, Zach, today. You can call Laura Meet, you can call all these who are against. Tell them Shalala is willing to pay for airtime, less meeting. They will never show up because they don't have the content. The idea is just to put and I'm saying it on live radio. I'll be willing to pay the commission for this show. Instead of today, you invited me. I didn't pay for this, but we are willing to pay the commensurate. If any of these are willing to come here, Laz, Chapter 1 Foundation, or Laura Mitch, those three, then I'll be able to pay for that airtime. But they won't come. The reason is they don't have the content. And done at level of the ward. But we've mentioned that consultation since 1964. So we are relying on all those reports that have been done to do this particular round of amendments. For a more comprehensive one, it can be done after election. But we have a number of things that have to be done before election, the limitation being one of them. So we can't do without them. The law demands that we do them. That's why we are doing this particular one. So she's saying that now, again, I'll ask Mumbipiri and others. These who feel that the process under NCC were better under Mwanawas, how come under Bill 10, where the process was good, and how come under NCC, where the process was good, those particular constitutions failed to pass through? They didn't pass through on the House. And I've mentioned the UPND does not have the arrogance of numbers. We have to ensure the content is good to ensure people vote for the bill. And it will be voted for because it's a very good law. So MPs know that these things which are being proposed are very good laws and they will vote. So Mumbipiri, as mentioned, should be able to talk to our MPs to make sure they vote again. That's part of democracy. Let us speak to our MPs. We'll also speak to their MPs. We'll speak to the general public. But eventually, I can assure you, when we talk again next, it won't happen. Now, Chisha talked about picking a candidate from a particular party not being good, okay, after there's a vacancy. Now, the question is, at the beginning, what happens? It's the same thing. At the beginning, the party is the one who picks a candidate and adopts the particular candidate to go for election. So how can it be good at the beginning to pick a candidate for adoption, but it's good, it's bad in the middle when there's a vacancy? It's again hypocrisy on the part of Chisha. Because if it is good for the goose, it should be good for the gander. So we choose candidates at the beginning and give them adoption certificates. The particular party that has won the seat wins it for 5 years. The mandate is given for 5 years. So why should you say in the middle you're not popular? According to him, is that the UPND has lost popularity. The UPND has not lost popularity. And that people who voted for Edgar Lungu were 1.8 million. That 1.8 million has not died. Those people have not died. They're still there. We don't expect all of them support the President Akainde. They'll still be there, they will make noise and everything. It's the normal part of democracy. The 2.8 also have not died. They're also there. If anything, we have universities who are enjoying meal allowances, which was not there, which Mumbipiri and others removed. these are increasing on the support for the president. So this part of popularity doesn't even arise. The evidence on the ground is against, because most of the elections the UPND has won. So again, this doesn't arise. It doesn't even touch on the constitution. So Zach, I can answer all these. Chikubabe is talking about NGOCC representing the people. How does NGOCC represent the people? NGOCC represents it's a pressure group which represents a particular demographic, which is women who are looking at women issues and gender. Okay, but even then, belong to one of those NGOs for you to have a say in NGOCC. Of course, they do advocate for general gender issues. It's not always the case. Sometimes they don't even do, and people complain. So NGOCC does not represent the people. The people are presented for by the people they vote for. The mayor, the councillor, the minister, the MP, the president. Those are the people that are voted for by the people, are the ones who represent them. So those arguments for me really don't arise. There are many issues I would have loved to touch, but in answering roughly, that's what I can say on these issues.
Did you have your concluding remarks?
Yeah, in concluding, Zach, I think I'll say it and I'll keep saying it. The process that we are using to amend this constitution is very clear. It follows the Article 79. Everything we've done is according to the law. There's no one who has called today. There's nobody who will call you to say we are broken a law or we are doing something illegal or unconstitutional. It won't happen. We are following the law. On top of that, the issue of consultation, we have said for this round of submissions, we are using a lot of the submissions done since 1964. In all these committees, we've compiled those and put together. Secondly, there's been submissions made from 2021 by different interest groups, the PF, to the UPND government. So there are submissions made to Ministry of Justice. Even some done just this year after we announced that they've been making submissions. But even then, the process is still open. There's an orderly way it will be done and all that. Yes, I must admit that we haven't been able to do awareness to reach everyone. We haven't done that, but I can assure you, in terms of content, it's a very good amendment apart from Article 79, which we have followed to the latter. So I would tell you, Zach, we predict that MPs will be happy with the content and it will be voted for when we meet next. I'm hoping it is the July elections and we can now talk about the new constitution. Otherwise, there are other things that may need to be looked at after elections, and we can have that conversation at that point.
Well, I must say that if you felt unprotected by me, I must apologize. I apologize. And of course, I apologize on behalf of the caller. But usually, it's an emotional topic.
It's fine. No, for me,
it's an emotional topic.
Yes,
and different emotions are bound to. Yeah.
For me, if I was here in my heart as CEO for Elite Ladies, which I've been here before, I don't mind somebody calling me arrogant, what and what. If I'm here in my personal, I don't mind. I think you know that. You know my personality. But when I'm speaking for the party and somebody labels me that way, they are trying to put that tag on the party. So it damages. We're not arrogant. Me, I'll tell you, we're not arrogant. Me, even as a person, you call me, I pick up my calls. Whatever. I'm not a person who's naturally arrogant. Neither am I arrogant after my appointment. No. So that, when that narrative goes unchallenged, it damages because it can stick. But otherwise, for me, those who know me, those who know how I work, no. That one I didn't feel good. But it's okay. You are my brother. I don't even have to beat up. I don't even have to accept your apology. There's no need for an apology from you. We are family.
It's good to have had you here. And I think that it was important because the amendment bill number 7 of 2025 is still a matter of debate. It's a burning issue, and it's only democratic that we let people talk and discuss it as much as they can. And I'm glad that you showed up to lead the discussion.
Yes, and also I remember I've made an offer to have a discussion here. You can, if any of the,
we'll leave it to you to make those proposals to the individuals you mentioned and those you would like to feature with. We'll leave it to you. If they're agreeable and you need time, we'll create that time.
They won't agree. They don't have data.
Always a pleasure to have you, Oliver, and I can only wish you all the best, and especially the party in the coming elections.
Thank you.
Just in case we don't talk before elections, I can only say all the best.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Well, listeners, thank you very much for listening and following our conversation today. We'll definitely be back, God willing, this next week, Tuesday, for yet another edition of the burning issue. Otherwise, thank you also to our partner radio stations that covered this program live. We really appreciate, and we can only wish you a good weekend. And God willing, we'll be back on Tuesday, like I said. So from all of us, it's goodbye for now. And we can only say take care of yourselves and more so of each other. Bye-bye.
Tune in next week for another edition of The Burning Issue. And thank you for your